Hello all, Xyceres here, bringing you another base tour. This time it will be Blandford, and this is possibly my best designed base. It was a large that I picked up fairly early, when larges required an absolute ludicrous number of prestige points, and it was slowly making its way through the champion ranks. It got to about 8 or 9 before the change that made the sizes of base all require the same prestige points, which was a better change in the long run. This particular base, as you can see here, got 102 raids. 4 of them are social after the fact, because if I'm going to share a base with anyone, it will almost always be this one. 576 raiders killed, which means the kill ratio was 5.6. It's dropped to 5.4 because of the extra raid attempts on social. Don't know why social raids count as raid attempts but don't count their kills. It seems really silly to me. There's 169 accolades on it, and there was 102 raid attempts, so that's about a 1.7 ratio, with the breakdown being 64 fun, 27 brutal, 37 ingenious, and 41 artistic, making the highest fun and artistic, although ingenious is not far behind. You'll see what that's all about in a moment, but let's go straight to the run. Okay, and we're back. You might notice that was quite a bit longer than usual. Large map, 4,500 capacity starting, and, you know, now up to nearly 6,000. That's quite a lot. You'll notice I didn't show this particular path. There's nothing here. It's just a tomb at the end. But it also, I didn't want to inflate the length of the test run any more than I already have, because this is quite a long base. So let's just start with the entrance here. The entrance here, it was originally a skull, changed it to a demon at one point. I believe that happened when I changed it from dangerous to brutal, which happened at Prestige 5. This little guardhouse here has always been here. These are where the guards that end up in the entrance at the end are. They're supposed to path down to here. I can never get them to consistently actually go here. I don't know what's up with it. It always seems to play up, and they have all the time in the world to get there, so I do not know what's going on with that. I believe these have Bloodlust, and it's supposed to be triggered off this guy, because I would expect them to walk forward a little bit and start shooting up while this guy's chasing you up there. This here never does anything. It is just there because I had extra capacity and couldn't think of anything else to use it on. You notice a few hollow cubes as we're going up. This one has bolt shot behind it. This one has an incinerator, and this one has that secret chamber here. The reason this chamber is so big is at one point I did actually have like a guard up here and some traps, but I decided against it in the long run because they just weren't doing anything to start with, and also the guard was more to try and make some noise so that someone walking past here would notice it, and I just decided to change it to this where you can more easily see it as you're coming back. And when these guards up here, the deadman switch ones, got changed so that they actually hit the bottom of the ramp, this got triggered more often, so more people started finding it, and I thought that was for the best anyway. This here, another reason it's so big is this is all mostly natural. The very few number of blocks that I've used actually block up quite a lot of space. So, and there are no holes in this particular chamber. So I could make this smaller, but it would actually probably take more capacity than it currently does, so not really much point to do that. This incinerator here is to try and block this off if someone tries to go forward and then finds out that it's a little bit too dangerous. But this here with the hunter bolt shots and all these guards just chilling on the stairs is just with deadman switch, so it is all designed so that it was originally designed. There weren't so many originally. It was originally designed so that you had to like hold into this corner to kill them with the hunter bolt shots, but like these ones on the edge, you pretty much have if they actually stay there, you actually have to hold into this corner, and that makes it quite dangerous because the guards, like that guard that you're trying to kill, can shoot you. The hunter bolt shots need to be dodged after they've killed the guard. The one in the center and the one on the right could potentially kill you. But over time, I found it was more effective for them there just to be more enforcers up here that are shooting at you constantly. And because there's a fairly wide, but not like super wide corridor here, like it's only very wide. These enforcers are actually like this enforcer over here is quite dangerous, even if you're sidestepping, because you don't actually have that much space to work with. And they were given deadman switch so that when they die, they roll down, potentially kill you when you're here. This used to be a little bit taller, but this is the perfect height that they roll all the way down to the bottom, which is good. And to try and stop people from just coming up here, this guy's going nuts. To try and stop people from coming up here, you have the hollow cube with the incinerator on the right here, 2 bolt shots that cover the side bits, and an incinerator that points towards this incinerator corridor here. If I put a bolt shot here, I could potentially kill this incinerator, which I really don't want to do. and this is just to try and force some people to interact with this corridor, which I think is justified because it's between this and the bombs right at the bottom, up in the roof here, and this here to try and catch people if they try to go up, which it often will because it is quite hard to sit here to get the grapple to get you to go here properly. The between these bombs and these guys up here, this is quite a dangerous corridor. Not insanely dangerous, you can get through it pretty easily with the right loadout, or even with the wrong loadout, it's not that difficult. But it's dangerous enough, I think, to justify this incinerator corridor shenanigan. This here is because this is a blind corner, and I have extra capacity. Most of the impalers are probably that. These here are hunter bolt shots. It's a symmetrical pattern, which is unfortunate because once you see it going in, you normally catch it going out. This occasionally gets kills normally on co-op players, both going in and going out. So it's most of the reason it's here. But the idea is you come here, you trigger that. The hunter bolt shots can path through this cube and can hit you somewhere back here, I believe. So you have to back up quite far if you're going to try and back up to avoid this, as opposed to, shooting it or blocking or parrying. This little chamber here, there's to try and pull you forward into this. Like, it looks like it's here to pull you into this, but it's actually to try and pull you through the bombs and put you about here. Because once you're about here, if you get caught by this, get pulled to here, you can shoot that, but then you have 2 seconds to get out of the way. And you've just also triggered this, and you also still need to deal with the grappling hook that's got you. So if you actually get grappled by that, you're probably dead most of the time. With the exception being that, like, I'm assuming that you're being grappled and pulled by it. If you're being grappled and immediately clicking the arc barrier, then that doesn't really count as being grappled by it. It's modded for, I believe, grease chains and quick launch, just to minimize the time you have to react. And these here, I believe, have no mods on them because they don't need them. The bombs will bounce everywhere they need to go. The unfortunate reality is this one here, about 50% of the time destroys this, which I don't want, but I can't stop no matter what I've tried. And the fact that it's only like 50% of the time, I just decide to go for it. It's better for that to be there than to try and rely on this to get a kill. This is another blind edge, so that's why that's there, and that bolt shot there is just to try and distract you from that. I did not realize that there was this here. I don't remember when I added this in. I assume this is just as a distraction for the bomb trap that's here. Like, if you miss this, you might go forward, and if you go forward, you trigger the bomb trap, and you don't have anywhere to go because the flames are still behind you. It was probably added very late, probably on the 9th prestige or so, I don't believe this would have had much chance to actually go off. This is another one of these incinerator corridors with the pistons. This is just so that you have to actually deal with this shenanigan here. Sometimes you can jump over these if you're speedrunning, and I just wanted you to actually deal with them, because 2 warmongers and a hornet all in one small corridor can be quite difficult to deal with. Double down bolt shot here, because I found that people would like duck in, deal with, say, this, and then back out. So put double down on it, so that you actually have to deal with it. This whole corridor pretty much just slows you down until you can come into here. And this here is... You'll notice there's a couple holes in the roof here and back there. They both have bolt shots in it. You are very distracted by everything else in this room most of the time when you're coming in here. The Plasma Sentinel I believe, has Plasma Cloud, because all Plasma Sentinels should have Plasma Cloud. And so this is Plasma Cloud. It's just shooting. It's just shooting here, potentially hitting you. You kind of need to deal with this first. Once you've dealt with this, you've got 2 Enforcers and a Cannonback to deal with, all armored. Priority should always be Cannonback into the 2 Enforcers. If you try to rush forward to deal with them a little bit easier, you could potentially fall into this. You're most likely not going to actually die to this, you're going to try and jump out of it. And then that's what the Impaler on the top's for. I believe it has... It does not have Blockade. Okay, normally when I set this up I have Blockade, but maybe it's just because I didn't actually think this one would work. Which it normally doesn't. It's normally more of a distraction, and then one of these get you instead. You'll notice these windows where you can see the guards that are hiding in the little chambers here. These are the guards that end up in here and in the hallway down there as well. In the second wave. Bunch of just random second wave traps, bombs, bolts, bombs, just to add a little bit more danger there to make it harder to deal with this section here. It's not super difficult in any case. Some more second wave traps. These are... The reason these are here are these are roughly where you can get to if you just try and sprint it. I believe you get to this one if you were just sprinting normally. This one is... I'm pretty sure the maximum if you manage to get the grapples perfectly. So, and generally speaking, second wave pistons will make you think twice before running over them because they will activate immediately once they're active. So it just buys time for everything in that next room to get into place. This here, bolt shot and bomb. This bomb here will hit everything in here and all the way back here, honestly, to about here. Bolt shot's just to distract you. This works very well, particularly on co-op players. And it's just not a lot of capacity considering what's going on here. And these aren't modded either, so there's no extra capacity there. You notice we've got the second wave holocube here, just past the gem mat, so player picks up the gem mat, this starts becoming real. This is also just the secret chamber that gets you to the 3rd tomb. But this guy here, his path to go pretty much the whole way through the base from what I recall. Though it does seem like he's getting stuck on here at the moment, which isn't intentional. I also did notice that when players go into this corner, which I tried to do in the actual run just now, he runs past. He just runs straight past you. Which I like. I think it's kind of funny to have a guard that is clearly supposed to just chase you through the whole base, and he just runs past, and you just don't have to deal with him till the very end. This here tomb, it's pretty much directly below the gen mat. It's a very interesting spawn. So I put it in its own little chamber, which I made a different color. Because I feel like the tombs are more a natural part of the bedrock of the base, rather than the actual castle aesthetic that I've got for most of it. And yeah, these walls here specifically are only used here because it makes this look like this is a special chamber. And that's what that's all about. And you'll notice as we go back through, I'm not going to go over the second wave of traps, we've already gone over most of them. You'll notice that I've got the roof angled, any angle roofs are stonework, are the white stonework. The church blocks are being used for the walls for the most part, and most of the walls have this trim bit here. This is just one of the sides of the church block, and I've got a bunch of lights all around for using the candelabra light. And as we get further down, this becomes the grey stone and bedrock with more bloody decals there. Some in here as well. And in here, if someone decides to check out what's going on in there, this is supposed to be like the prison area of the castle that I'm playing in. Like, so we're down in the dungeons, and as we grab the gen map, the prisoners start escaping because we've dealt with all the primary people of the castle. So there's no one to stop them. As we come back up, we're getting more back into the castle aesthetic again. As you can see, the trim again, as we go back through. Especially here. And then the red of the demon face at the front. So, yeah. Whole basic idea is it was supposed to be like a castle aesthetic. I was figuring like you're going up and then you get to a certain point and then like you start going down because you can't go up any further easily. You go down to rock bottom and then come back up again. I thought it'd be an interesting idea, and you can kind of see what it looks like from the outside. Back here, a lot of roofing to make it look right, because I don't want to just leave it as the bland whatever side happens to be pointing at the outside when the inside is actually built properly, built to look nice. Yeah, so decent amount just in the roofing blocks here. Nothing too spectacular. So like here is the corridor with the incinerators. Here's it going down into where it starts being grey stone. Most of that's under this that you can't really see, and then here's the chambers as it spirals back up into the gen mat corridor at the end here. So you can kind of work that out from the outside, but there's not that much information gained from that, and because it is fairly linear, it's not really worth it. But anyway, this is Blandford. It will remain up on social until further notice, probably for quite a while. I'm very unlikely to remove Blandford from social until I have quite a lot of much better maps. But for now, that is up. And I will be doing McVeigh Town next as the next base tour. Should be in a couple of days. And until then, I shall see you.